Hey, what's going on, you guys? Decal J here. So today I'm making a video on how I got InZOI running on the Steam Deck with shadows. And also I did want to let you guys know that the game does not crash for me. I'm able to get it pretty much at a good stable, like 45 frames. So I did want to also let you guys know as a disclaimer that the game is not optimized on Steam, of course, as everyone knows at the current moment. And InZOI and the crafting team are constantly coming out with updates for the game. So it does help in a sense, but it doesn't really help that much. But I was able to find kind of a good like middle ground to like play the game but not like overdoing it, but also to where like the game is not crashing, where you're not having to like restarting your Steam Deck over and over and over. Like you can play it for hours and hours. Right now I'm actually about 62.4 hours in. Although the visuals are not like the greatest, at least it's still playable, and at least I'm not having to go out there and spend almost $1,000 for a computer when I already have a Steam Deck. And I do have another computer that I do record on, but it's not the same as my Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is more powerful than it, but I use it for like my OBS and like recording and things like that. But I also made a Reddit post on pretty much everything that I did as far as like how to get the game running. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, I did a lot of research, and I found this literally to be like the best way to run InZOI, at least as of right now, especially with not knowing when the crafting team or InZOI or Steam is going to optimize it for the Steam Deck. So I hope this video helps you guys. And before I do start the video, another thing, so my setup is a little bit different for my Steam Deck, and I know it's going to vary for everyone, but I noticed that this does kind of play into effect as well, and I think I'm going to go ahead and update my Reddit post. I'm not logged on here. I actually have it logged on my phone, but recently, last night, I posted the video of me running InZOI on the Steam Deck for about like 27 minutes just so that people can see how the game was running with shadows on. I originally didn't have shadows on, but as I kept playing, I wanted to kind of press it a little bit more into the Steam Deck to see how much it can actually take, and it actually works pretty fine. So I'll go into all this and we'll get started, but again, just kind of going back to the Steam Deck. So I have an SD card inside my Steam Deck. I don't know like all the specifics or specifications of it. However, I do know if you do get an external SSD card on the side, then that will be able to read and write the game faster. Previously, I was putting everything on my SD card. And also too, with that, I have like the lowest Steam Deck because I got it like when it first came out. And so I got a terabyte and I haven't upgraded the actual internal yet, which is something that I do want to do. I just haven't done it. So what I was doing originally, I was putting all the games on the SD card, and then I was bringing the shader caches and the compat data over to the SD card to kind of optimize my space because I was running out of space. Moving all the shader caches and all that onto the SD card, it did hit on performance, just meaning that my games were taking longer to load in. They just weren't as fast, and you can kind of feel it when you're playing. And so before InZOI came out, I was unable to like buy a new computer. So I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and just buy a SD card. I plugged it up and I downloaded it. When InZOI like literally dropped that same night, I downloaded it onto my SD card. I did some research, and I honestly had a hard time running InZOI on my Steam Deck, with it being on the SSD card. But also too, I think there was an issue with me running the compat data and the shader caches on the SD card. So I ended up moving everything to my SSD drive. Again, I'm using the dock, and the dock that I have is the JSOX dock. So it's not like the official Steam Valve dock. It's just the JSOX one because that's what was out at the time when I had got the Steam Deck. So right now I'm running InZOI on the SSD, and I have the shader caches and the compat data as well brought over to the SSD. The game runs way better. It just feels faster. It loads faster. It's more smooth. I also had moved the shader caches and the compat data over to the SD card, and I did test it that way, and I did put them inside the actual internal like storage of the Steam Deck. And the Steam Deck was way faster than the SD card, and then the SSD that I have, it was way faster than both of them combined. So I just left them there, and I know I'm putting a little bit more wear and tear on my SSD card, but it's working a lot better on the SSD. So with that, I thought I'd just again throw that out there. So if you guys want to go ahead and get like a SSD and have it externally, and you want to play like that, and maybe you can plug it in or find some type of way to like make that work. If not, and you have like a better Steam Deck than I do, then of course you can do it however you want and run it that way. So the next thing is on my Reddit post that I had made here. I was doing a lot of research, and because I have so much time in InZOI, like 62 hours, I think the game, from especially having trouble the first day where I could not run it, I've noticed that anytime I would save, it would crash. Anytime it went over about like 11 gigabytes, even sometimes if I was running it really high, like having the best graphics, anytime it just spiked up. So fixing that, one of the things I did is I went to the BIOS settings and I held the volume up and the power button, and I went to the UMA frame buffer size, and I changed that to 4 gigabytes. There's a lot of things online that you can find. A lot of people say it helps. A lot of people say it don't. A lot of people say all different types of things. I mean, I didn't really care, to be honest with you, because to me, I felt like this is going to help. So I ended up changing that, and I tried running the game. It didn't really work like all so well. It ended up still crashing. So I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and find something else that I can do. And I ended up looking into the CryoUtility. So a lot of people are kind of like mixed about it. I don't understand it really, to be honest with you. I just know that it's helping me run my game better. It is taking up more space on my drives and stuff, but it's helping me run my game, so it doesn't really bother me. And if I ever need to buy another memory card or SSD or whatever, then I can just do that. It's cheaper than having to buy another computer, so why not do it? Once you change that to 4 gigs on your Steam Deck, that'll kind of help allocate memory just a little bit better. And then CryoUtilities, you can download that. Just go to Google. You could just type in CryoUtilities. It's from like GitHub, whatever it's called, and you can just download that file. So once you download that, you're going to want to install it. Once you install it, you're basically going to be here. Once you open up CryoUtilities, you're going to have to use your pseudocode. If that's something that you haven't set up or you don't know anything about, there's other videos or things online that you can do. It's not hard. It's actually pretty easy, but I definitely recommend saving that pseudocode because I had an issue where I actually had to reset it, and I ended up resetting it, and now I have it saved. But man, it took me forever because my keyboard wasn't working. You're going to need a keyboard to fix that. So once you're here, I would just go ahead and click on recommend. So I recommended the settings for this to kind of just allocate all the memory and everything. So that was pretty fast for me. So once you click on that, you'll be able to set that up, and it takes a little while to load, just depending on what kind of games or however you run your Steam Deck. And then you go to swap, and then you want to resize. So I believe this is going to be default 1. So you're going to want to resize to 6. Now keep in mind, if you do have a Steam Deck like mine, and I can show you right here. So this is my home. So I am at 7.7 gigs, and I had like, I want to say I had like 16. So it's going to take a few gigs. So just keep that in mind, have some extra memory. And then in InZOI, you want to make sure you're running GE Proton. So the latest one just came out, I believe there's a few days ago. So you can download GE Proton 9-27. I have another video of when I was using the Character Studio demo, so you can just go back to that one, kind of see how I did it. It's really easy. All you got to do is just go to the Discovery Store, and then you can just download this one. But I went ahead and stopped using 9-26. Proton 9-27 seems to be running fine, and I just recently switched it. So the next thing you're going to want to do is go into the configuration files inside of InZOI. I already have it loaded up here. So basically here, what you're going to want to do is change the resolution size X and Y to the Steam Deck resolution. And then you're going to want to change the selected resolution size X and Y. Same thing to the Steam Deck. Mine is just this because I'm using it again on my other screen. And then you're going to want to scroll down. And then right here where it has the desired screen width, desired screen height, you're just going to want to put the Steam Deck as well. So those are the 3 things that you're going to want to change. And then you're going to want to look for FSR3 values. So you're going to want to change it to 2. And then look for FSR3 FI. Change that to true. That'll be false. And then once you're done with that, you're going to want to look for a full screen mode. So mine is called preferred full screen mode. So you just change the 0 to 1. However, if yours does just say full screen mode, you could just change that 0 to 1 as well. Once you're done with that, you're just going to press save. You're going to exit. So once you load up InZOI, I would just load it up in gaming mode. Once you load up InZOI, you're going to want to go to options. So turn dynamic resolution off, and then you're going to want to set it to maximum frames per second for 45. So with these settings as well, you can run it at 60, but I would just do 45 just to see. This is what I would do. Just do the minimum specs with me here, and then you see how your game runs on your Steam Deck, and then you can adjust it accordingly to however you want. That's kind of what I did, especially with the shadows. So this, I just did 45 frames, and then I have vertical sync off, and then depth of field I have off. I got motion blur off. I have this set to 50, and then I have ray tracing off, and then I have occlusion method. I have this off, and then you can just go to custom. Just make sure this is very low, very low, very low, very low. TSR, do very low, very low. So also too with the TSR very low, very low. The shadow quality, so just leave yours at very low for now, but you can change it to low if you want. I mean, it's still going to work fine. And then for the shadow casting light effect, turn that off. Global illumination very low. Ray tracing object, just do fallback mesh. And then for the rest of them, just do very low. And then one thing I would recommend as well is if there's anything else that you want to change, I would just say just do it now. And then also I would recommend is that so that you can kind of tell what the temperature is, change this from C to F in America like me. You'll actually be able to tell what the temperature is outside in the game. And then once you're done with that, just go ahead and click apply. So here is a few other things that I did want to mention before you actually start the game, just to make sure that you have as smooth as of experience that you possibly can. So I'm just going to read it pretty much verbatim so that I don't miss anything. So if you are doing it in game mode, go ahead and press the 3 dots that are on your Steam Deck. And then in the performance settings, change your frame rate to 45. Allow tearing on. Change your TDP limit to 12 watts. Change your manual GPU clock to on and set it to 1400. And then your scaling mode, put it to auto, and then scaling filter, just leave it at linear. I mean, you don't have to change it. It's not going to change anything. Okay, before starting, this is mostly for Bliss Bay. Dawn works perfectly fine. You're really not going to encounter issues on Dawn. This is mostly for Bliss Bay. So again, I'm just going to read it verbatim. So of course, important notes for playing on Bliss Bay, and this is again from me. So if you're playing on Bliss Bay, I highly recommend only starting with InZOI first. The city is prone to crashes, but with all these settings adjustment, it shouldn't crash as much. Once you load into Bliss Bay, and this is after creating your ZOI, let everything load up completely. So just like you'll kind of tell, because the game will kind of like stutter and lag a little bit. Just wait till everything loads. And then once everything loads, then I would go ahead and just save the game immediately. Once you save the game, you'll notice that the RAM goes down. Okay, and then after you save, then you're going to want to go to city edit mode. You want to go to manage city and then scroll all the way down. So you're going to notice that the maximum population and the maximum vehicle count are slightly higher. So what I did with these, because it does make a big difference in the game on the Steam Deck, you're going to want to change both of these to slightly low. Then go back to the game. Then you can save again after making these changes. Of course, that's just to lower the RAM, just to keep it at a safe pace. And then once you're done with that, then you shouldn't encounter any crashes. So Bliss Bay, to be on the safe side, to be honest, with these settings and everything we've just done, you're not really going to experience any crashes. The only thing I will say that happened to me is when I did load up the game one time and I was playing maybe for like 10-15 minutes, the game just closed. It didn't even crash. It just closed and it just started updating. That was the most weirdest thing that happened. But other than that, it has not crashed on me since I've done this. And again, I probably played on this probably like a good extra 50 hours. Other than that, I just had like 10 hours just messing with it and trying to optimize it. So the best way, if you want to make sure that, hey, you're saving your game without minimizing the crashes, and I'm going to do some tests with you so that you can actually see it before you do anything. Just, I want to make sure that you're saving as much time as possible. But the best way that I found to avoid crashes is when you're at your home, if it's an apartment or like a house, it uses significantly less RAM, and that's because it's not generating like other people, it's not generating like the terrain and everything that's around you, objects. So it reduces the risk of crashing. So what I do is I make sure that there's no actions being performed. I pause the game and then I save it. So basically the rest of the video is just going to be me showing you the game, and I'm going to be saving in a few different areas so that you're actually able to see like, hey, the game is not crashing before you do anything. So I'm going to load my game up in gaming mode, because if I load up the game in desktop mode while I have other things open, it does not perform as good as it does just doing it in gaming mode, because it's more optimized. So just another disclaimer, I am connected to my screen, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how it works on my screen, and then I'll turn on everything else just so that you can kind of see how it's working. Steam Deck will most likely run it a little bit better as far as if you're not playing it on an external screen, so just keep that in mind. But I'm going to go ahead and skip this until I get into the game. Okay, so our game loaded up. I turn on the performance settings so that you guys can just kind of look here. So right here, the RAM is a little bit high. Since I've already been running the game, and well, I just started the game, but since I've already had like a save file and I've been playing the game for a while, my RAM is not really that high, but I can show you right here just that we can do like a little test. If I press escape and I save it, you'll see the RAM kind of jump up. And then sometimes it tries to go over, sometimes it go back down. So I think that really helps like the game not crash. So I'm gonna go ahead and move myself here, and then I'll save in a few different areas as well so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm sorry about that, you guys. I had to adjust my settings. The volume wasn't playing. This is one of my ZOIs. His name is Martin. These are all the same settings that we did earlier. Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna run around Bliss Bay. So let's go ahead and go inside. What I really want to show y'all is the park over here, because this is where I think InZOI like struggles on the Steam Deck. But yeah, you guys, I guess leave some comments down below. Like, how are you guys liking InZOI? Do y'all like it? Do you want it to be optimized? Do you think it should have been optimized? Do you feel like there's not enough content? Do you prefer The Sims? What is your take on it? My personal opinion as far as like the game compared to The Sims, I mean, we're so used to The Sims, so it's hard not to compare this game to it. The only thing is The Sims, I don't like how they tailor to one community more than any other community, and that's kind of my biggest thing. And with their latest update, I feel like they really trolled InZOI, you know. But hey, I mean, you know, it is what it is, whatever. But I'm really enjoying InZOI, and the game has a very solid platform. Well, not very solid, but it has a pretty good platform as of right now. So whenever there's more updates and stuff like that, I am so looking forward to it. But right now, so the game isn't, I mean, you can see I'm here at the pier. The thing is that nothing's really moving, so you're not seeing it in all of its full glory, but just so that you guys can see, the RAM is not so high right now. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to save it here, because this is the biggest issue we have, right? So we'll save it, and then we'll just go somewhere else, I guess. Alrighty, so we went ahead and saved that. So again, game runs fine. Let's see, where else can we go? Oh, actually, you know what? Another thing too. Let me go ahead and show y'all my my managed city settings. So I pretty much have these all in the middle. I really haven't adjusted them, but these are the only two things that I just put slightly low. I really would not mess with the city appearances. I'm still going through the seasons. I barely got to fall, so I don't know how winter is gonna be on the Steam Deck. I'm kind of worried now that I'm thinking about it. And I haven't seen it rain either. I don't know. I still haven't experienced all this stuff yet. You know what? Let's put it to rain. I don't know how it's gonna work. Is it raining? It looks wet, but I don't see rain. Well, I don't know, but it says it's raining. It don't look like it's raining unless I'm blind. I'm probably blind. But I guess we'll see how it looks when it rains. See if it affects anything. But going back to the city appearance, so I would just leave it as palm trees. You don't want to put too much in the game, especially with kind of how it's already running. I would just leave it. But this is so weird. Like, I don't see no rain. I can see it on his shirt, but I don't see no rain. I can see a little bit, but you don't see it like falling. That may be because everything's on low settings and the game is trying to say like, hey, like, it might be a little bit too much for this. But as you can see, there's shadows. And this is nighttime. The day honestly works pretty fine, so let's see if I can run a little bit faster. We're just gonna run around. Just so you guys can see. This is making me want to go to the beach. See, when it loads, that's when the frames drop. But other than that, you're not going to be running like this. You're just going to be running normal. So everything's going to have enough time to load in. So I really wouldn't like push it like that. You see, once you got it going, the game works fine. Perfect. Perfect for the Steam Deck right now. So Yeah, I am gonna go ahead and take a picture here, and I will use this as my thumbnail. But yeah, you guys, so I really hope this video helped you guys. Definitely like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys need help. Let me know if you guys found any other settings that may be better than what I found. I want to know, because if we don't have to go through all this to run the game smoothly without it crashing, I definitely am all for it. But let me know down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.